The commonly understood definition of crisis is that of chaos in phrases such as environmental crisis or corona crisis, or confusion in phrases such as existential crisis or midlife crisis. But there is a second definition to the word, that of a point in time when a critical decision must be made, a decision whose implications would be the difference between two drastically different futures, whether they be personal or national. In people's lives, many such decisions are made: which college to attend, which major to pick, which person to marry. But grief over the loss of a loved one can also be a critical moment, whether to give in to the grief or to overcome stronger. The song Achilles Come Down by a gang of youths features two narrators putting forth arguments as to why Achilles, the Greek hero, should listen to them. The Trojan War is raging, and Hector, the Trojan hero, has just killed Patroclus, Achilles' lover, and Achilles is standing on a roof, on the precipice of deciding whether to continue his fight or not. The way I imagine it is the trope of the angel and the devil standing on his shoulders trying to convince him to listen to their side. The arguments of the angel utilize both ethos and pathos. To establish a common ground with Achilles, the angel urges Achilles to see life as a worthy opponent and as a means to a triumph. As Everything's an Argument posits, the establishment of a common ground with the audience is a way to show that you, quote, share values with and respect your audience, end quote. These statements rely on Achilles' position as a warrior to allow him to see that life is not an enemy to hate and to be feared, but is a challenge to conquer. The pathos comes in the form of references to love, most notably in the line, "The most dangerous thing is to love," supported by the following line, "You will heal and you'll rise above," which also utilizes pathos. What is interesting to note is that while the angel has 4 monologues in the song, the devil only has 1, plus the climactic scene in which both the angel and the devil are arguing. This is possibly a meaningful juxtaposition on the part of the lyricist, implying that which the devil says is less important than that which the angel says, or to demonstrate the concept of negativity bias, how a few intrusive, negative thoughts can call into question all of the positivity that the angel provides. However, this also means that there are less of its lines to analyze. The devil's arguments similarly utilize pathos, but by counterintuitively speaking with a lack of emotion. The end of the first line, "Jump now," is in stark juxtaposition to the angel's argument to get up off the roof. The main premise of the devil's arguments come in the last line, in which it argues to Achilles that it's empty and that to listen to the angel's arguments would be a pointless resistance of that which it feels is true. Interspersed within the narrator's arguments are excerpts from The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, the French philosopher from the mid-20th century, distinguished by his book The Stranger. Camus' philosophy came in juxtaposition to other philosophers of the era who sought to explain what order they saw in the world as evidence of God. Camus refuted this evidence of God in presenting his worldview of absurdism. This philosophy sees the world as a meaningless place, that is, until we ascribe it meaning. The Myth of Sisyphus discusses the Greek story of Sisyphus, a man who was condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a mountain, only to have it fall down again when he neared the top. Camus argues that though Sisyphus is condemned to do this meaningless job for eternity, he can choose whether or not to ascribe meaning to that job. Thus, he must ascribe meaning because that ascription is the only thing keeping him from the depths of despair. Therefore, quote, one must imagine Sisyphus happy, end quote. In his essay, Camus argues that we are all like Sisyphus, searching for meaning in a meaningless world, trying to find some pattern and some order that we ascribe meaning to in order to convince ourselves that the world we live in has meaning in the first place. So where does this connect to the song? In the song, the Camusian dichotomy between the apparent lack of meaning and the ascribed meaning manifests in the arguments of the angel and the devil. The devil argues that it's empty and it is pointless, and in the climactic debate, urges Achilles to be real and just jump, arguing that since life is meaningless, Achilles' life accounts for and influences nothing more than a rat in the gutter. The angel, on the other hand, recognizes that life must be given meaning in order to continue living. The angel doesn't outright call the devil wrong, but acknowledges it as one of the possibilities, singing, "You may feel no purpose nor a point for existence, but urges Achilles that the search for meaning can keep him going forward, which manifests in possibly my most favorite line from the song. There may not be meaning, so find one and seize it. This song, of course, also has a musical aspect to it, which conveys emotions beyond just the lyrics of the song. The song utilizes minor chords, traditionally associated with seriousness and profound sadness. An essay in the International Journal of Musicology notes the similarity between the pitches of a minor chord and the sounds people make when in grief. But it's not just the chords that make the musical structure, it's the way those chords interact. In many sections of the song, the chord switches between a C minor and a B flat, possibly to symbolize the back and forth nature of the angel and devil's arguments. In the chorus, the band uses a traditional method to build tension. They start on an A flat, the 4 chord in the key of E flat, the key in which the song is played. In the picture of the key of E flat, you'll notice that the A flat is the 4th note up from E flat. The song then goes up one step to build that tension to the 5 chord, B flat. Even though B flat is a major chord often associated with happiness and peace, in this instance it's being used as a pivot point to build instability, until that instability is released when the chord comes down to play an E flat. The 1 chord, which gives the musical section a sense of completion. This cycle of building tension and releasing it signifies the crisis that Achilles is going through, and the coming down of the tension, parallel to the angel's arguments of coming down off the roof. The main takeaway of this song, I think, is the fact that we as humans have free will, and that we can choose to either live a meaningless life or to make our own meaning of it. We can choose to either succumb or to overcome.